Hey, good evening. Happy Monday. Whew. It's only Monday and it felt like a whole week has gone by already. I don't know about you, but that's how it's been for me. So I'll just wait for a few people to come in before we start. All right. So happy Monday. Again, I'm Dr. Josya. Um, I am a physician, a wife, a mother, and a love and dating coach. And my goal is to help professional Black women get ready to meet their husband and through very strategic ways in terms of how you approach dating so that you attract the right men and you are able to have clarity in those dates and to know for sure that this is not for play, this is for real. Okay? So, today, in the spirit of the season, I wanted to talk about the mask of dating. Some people are celebrating Halloween tomorrow, some are doing Hallelujah night, some are doing fall harvest. Um, in other cultures, like the Day of the Dead is November 2nd, Fête Day is part in Haitian voodoo culture. So this is a time of year where you have a tree behind you, like the trees are shedding their leaves and things are changing, right? And many times we wear masks in these celebrations to represent other people or other entities. But sometimes we end up wearing masks when we go dating, right? And I wanted to kind of talk about that because these different kinds of masks can actually, hinder the desires that we say we have, right? So I actually have some props to kind of explain about this. I actually have a few masks around the house, okay? And the first one I want to start with is this one. You guys see it? I'm not going to wear all my masks, but you see this one. Um, I guess I'll give a quick story. So this one I got on Virgin Voyages cruise, adults only cruise. Very fun. You got to check it out. So when I look at this mask, I think of us wearing the mask of mysteriousness on a date. We don't want to let the person know who we are. We don't want to give everything away. So we just want to be mysterious, right? And, that is cool to a point, to be able to give, especially, and I'm gearing this conversation towards women, right? You definitely want to embrace your feminine energy and invite a man to pursue you. But if you're too mysterious, then it just creates extra work. I mean, think about it also from the other side. If you are dating a guy, you don't want too much mystery. You actually want to get to know this person, right? Um, so you don't want to always wear that mask of mystery, okay? Now, I'm not saying you give everything of your information on day one. I definitely do not believe in that. There are some things you don't lead with. But as you are allowing yourself to be vulnerable in a dating situation, then as time unfolds and this person has shown that he's earned the right to learn this information, because you're privileged information, right? Then you start sharing those bits of information, but you don't want to wear that mask of mysteriousness all the time, okay? Leave that for, I don't know, a masquerade ball or something. So that's the first mask. The second mask I have, interesting story. This is actually a gift from Sierra Leone. I have yet to visit the motherland, but it's definitely on my list to do. So when I think of this mask, I think of no emotion. So not even a mystery, like literally just blank face, nothing phases you, and you approach your dating life in that way. And when you do that, you are really putting up a wall. Like, look at this face, right? Does this say approach me? And I think what happens for us women, especially professional Black women, we've worn all the hats. We wore the capes. We've carried our families. We've carried the family name, graduating, getting that degree, getting that master's, getting that PhD, getting that MD, getting that JD, being a dentist, chiropractor, whichever your profession is. So we're used to carrying everything, and we've been taught to not show emotion, right? Because showing emotion is weakness in the workplace. Or if you do show emotion or you're asserting yourself, then you get labeled as the angry Black woman. And it's like we're not allowed to feel. And then we've carried that into our dating situation where we don't show emotion. We want to keep that poker face up. And what happens sometimes, we can actually push some, really good guys away with that. And we create too much of a barrier to allow love. All right. So another part of that too can be, um, someone does express that they kind of like you, and you're probably are liking them too, and you're afraid to say so. So you just keep that face up. Or you don't like them. You realize it's not a good match, and you're afraid to say that too. So we want to kind of get to the place where we allow vulnerability, changes in expression. We're not straight faced, so that we can proceed in our dating experience. All right. So that's the second one. So the first one's a mystery. Second one's like not having any kind of emotion or just trying to keep in that straight face on. Now, the third one, this one's fun. This is like a lucha libre mask. So I got this one in Mexico. As you see, it's still creased, never actually put it on. Um, I, Interesting note, I used to love watching wrestling growing up. WWF was my thing. If you are like WCW or WWE, new school stuff, we can't talk. Like old school WWF. Anyhow, so even some of the wrestlers in WWF, like if they were Mexican wrestlers, they wear their mask. And when I think of that mask, I think of the mask of drama and strife. You have been through previous relationships and previous dating experiences where it's just been drama, or you grew up in a situation of drama where you don't know how to engage with somebody in a calm manner. It's you have trouble conducting, you know, conversations about differences without it being calling them out their name, or for it to be just extra drama. Some people are just attracted to that. And honestly, when we're getting to the place in our life where we're looking to have a spouse, we want to minimize that as much as possible. We want to learn how to, quote, fight fair, but even better than that, to be able to express ourselves and allow them to express themselves in a way that can be peaceable and civil. Remember that phrase, civil discourse? That happens in marriage, and we want to practice that in our dating. So we don't want to come up with the mask of, if you nuck and buck and we're ready to fight and all of that. Like, those are good songs and they're fun for the club, but when it really comes to dating, we want to be able to put that aside, because we have to think this could potentially be our life partner, right? So we want to be able to come in with that openness, come in with that vulnerability, um, so that you just set the foundation for what's to come. And even if that particular dating situation doesn't work, you've practiced those skills and you put away the old skills of fighting and you girl, this like all that. I'm from Philly, so I have that energy too, okay? But I choose to turn it off, right? And reserve it for where it's really, really worth it and where the fights are worth fighting. But when you are engaging in dating with the purpose of marriage, you really want to embrace the attributes of civil discourse, of getting to know the other side, empathy, sympathy. These are the things that are going to help in your dating relationships and in the marriage and beyond. Okay. All right. So my next mask, this is a fun one, is my Darth Vader mask. Now, quick story on this mask. You see all the paint on it because I participate in Carnival, and one of the events in Chicago is Juve. So we throw paint and powder and water, and it's a lot of fun, and it still has the stains. I decided not to take them off because it helps me remember of the fun time. So this was a mask I actually wore in Trinidad for Juve a couple years ago. But what do you think of Darth Vader? You think of like epitome of evil, right? The way he just moved around with his stormtroopers, the way he used the force for bad. Like, I call this the mask of superiority. I also call it the mask of inferiority. They're both two sides of the same coin. So what do I mean? So when you come into your dating relationship like, oh, well, I have this degree and that degree, and I have this house and that house, and what do you have? What's your net worth? What are your investments? And if you come off with this air of superiority, you're not looking for a partner, like by your side, right? And here's something interesting, and you probably know this. Most alpha women, and when I say alpha women, If you have an advanced degree, if you're running your own business, you're an alpha woman. Most alpha women want an alpha man. And I'm not saying a man who's going to talk over you or be overbearing, but you want to have that opportunity to just take a break from deciding and leading everything. It gets exhausting, right? But if you're coming in as Darth Vader, he's not gonna want to, approach that situation. So we want to be able to take off that mask of superiority. And I say it's the flip side of inferiority. Because we know Darth Vader hid behind a mask. And he used the force when people disagreed with him and just was brute force of stuff. And that's also kind of inferiority. If you're not willing to be humble and be vulnerable, then that kind of gets in the way of your experience too. Another caveat to that inferiority is the pick me syndrome. Oh, please pick me. And you've heard of this term over the years where women will just do anything or they just are not so built up in their own self awareness and assuredness that they'll just accept anything from a guy. And that's not healthy either. Because soon enough, even if you progressed into getting engaged and progressed into getting married, eventually you're going to say enough is enough. Okay. And when you start asserting yourself, you're going to find that he reacts differently to you because he was used to you acting inferior. Remember, it's a partner, it's side by side. If you use the biblical example, the woman was made from the rib of the man, from his side. And we know how men love their ribs. I crack myself up. But anyway, so those are some of the masks of dating, right? So as we said, we have the mask of mystery. We don't want to be too mysterious, okay? We have the mask of just really no emotion. We got to show emotion in our dating life. We have the mask of just, I don't know if I said it, like fighting, drama, the lucha libre, jumping off the top rope. You don't want that. You're looking for a life partner, okay? And then we said the mask of superiority slash inferiority. All right? Now, if you have questions, concerns, please put them, well, not concerns. Sorry, work that out with yourself. No, but seriously, if you have questions about the different masks or other masks that you think are out there, I definitely would love to see you put that in the chat. And actually, I had a question from Instagram that came up last week that I wanted to answer. Not exactly related to what we talked about today, but it's fun nonetheless. And and actually, I just put up a poll. What are the other masks you think are in dating? All right, so let me pull up my Instagram question. So this Instagram question I got last week was, hello, ma'am. I got an advice from a married and kind of divorced woman that I should never marry who I love. Is this true? Now, granted, it's a completely different topic, but I thought it was interesting. I was like, I'm going to be on live today, and I invited this person to come and watch my answer to this question. I've heard this advice too, like you shouldn't marry someone you love, or he should love you more than you love him. Where does this come from, right? So it really comes from the idea, back to the different mask, okay? To the idea of, especially that mask of inferiority and that pick me energy. You don't want to be worshiping your date, your future husband, your spouse. You don't want to put yourself underneath, or that you, quote, love him so much that he makes no effort to pursue you, to date you. You have to, as much as we are in a progressive society, there are still some evolutionary things that are still at play. And you can disagree with me on this or not. It's up to you. And I would love to have the conversation. But what I have found is that as women, when we embrace our feminine energy, then we allow men to then embrace their masculine energy. Or if we find a man who's fully in his masculine energy, we feel comfortable to be in our feminine energy. So, having said that, if you meet a guy and it's going well and you have feelings for him, you still want to allow him to lead the the relationship. You don't want to come in and say, like, not forcefully or ultimately, like, so what are we doing? What are we doing? When are you going to propose? What's going on? Huh? What's up? What's up? What's up? Because believe it or not, I actually might push him away. Okay? And I'm talking from experience, all right? I'm not going to tell you guys stuff that I haven't lived through myself. My own husband, bless his soul, bless his heart. I knew we were definitely vibing with something serious. I'm like, so, and I did that. I was like, so what's up? He's like, can you give me the opportunity to bring this conversation to you? Allow me to be the man? So it's really when they say you shouldn't marry who you love. No, you should obviously marry someone you love. You don't want to not love the person. What is that? There are different types of love. I don't know if I mentioned that in that last podcast I talked about love, and a lot of times in the church they'll talk about it because they like talking about the Greek in the Bible, agape being that godly love, that divine love. Philios is that brotherly love. I came from Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Philios. You have, eros, that romantic, erotic love. Um, there's another fourth one that I'm blanking on, but if you guys know that Greek, please tell me. But you have different types of love, right? So, you don't want to necessarily push and force the relationship. You should obviously love this person, and you love them in different dimensions. You love them, from a they're going to be my future family, my best friend, that brotherly love. You love them in terms of that erotic love. And I think sometimes we don't realize that there are different components to love, and that love can grow. So you might have that initial infatuation with someone that might go away, but the rest of love builds, or you don't have the initial infatuation and that comes on later on. So it's not an all or none thing. So even though our moms and grandmas have said that blanket statement and that generation never really explained it, I hope that gives a little bit of explanation. You should definitely marry someone who you love, but also you want to allow him to be in his full manhood so he can share with you if he loves you back. Okay? All right. Um, so, so far in the vote, yes, people do wear masks in dating. I mean, that was an obvious question there. So, are there any questions in the chat? Let's see. Nope, there aren't. But this was lots of fun. I know my live last week on Instagram was really quick, but I've always been told I kind of just talk and get right to the point. But I want to take a little more time, so the prompts helped out. So with the mask of dating. So what I want to invite you to do is that if you found this valuable and you want to get to learn more about what I do and in my program, I invite you to use the link in my bio to set up a call, my Calendly schedule. So I do run a program called Get Ready for Love. It is a 30-day personalized love coaching program for Black professional women with the goal to get you ready for love. So if you've been out of the dating game, you've deleted all the apps, you're like, there's bleep in that in the pool of dating, or you want to build your self-esteem, you want to get back into it. I want to help you to find love, and I want to help you with a strategy that gives you, a clear purpose as you're getting on the dating apps, as you're going on actual dates. We aren't looking for pen pals. We're looking for our future husband. And so I want to kind of basically share the process that I went through to help you, especially as a high level professional woman, because we have more to lose. So we have to be strategic. The same way we're strategic when we picked our colleges and our schools and we did our starting our businesses, or, our college, our first jobs and have you. The same thing applies to dating. But there's a nuance to it, right? Again, we don't want to put those masks back on or create walls that we miss out on love. So I really want to help you in that. If you want to get the help, just use the link in my bio to set up a call and let's talk on the phone. I mean, the way I'm here today is the way you're going to catch me on the phone, okay? So um, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you have a wonderful rest of October, and I'll see you soon. Bye.